Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kutlano or Kay. I'm from South Africa and I until recently lived in Cheongju, which is like in the middle of Korea, and it's a small city, yeah. And I recently moved to Seoul. If you are not new around here, hey, what's up? And you missed the explanation of how I ended up in Seoul. There's a video, I'll link it here. But yeah, so I'm gonna explain kind of how I found my apartment in Seoul, because it was a pain in the and I'm gonna explain a bit about the housing system. I'm not gonna get that into it because I feel like there are so many videos about this online, so I don't expect anyone to sit through me explaining it as well, because there's so many videos about it made by other creators who found houses in Seoul. But yeah, I'll explain kind of in a basic way. So in Korea there are different types of houses. Let's start with the different types of houses. So you will get a one room. So the one room is like my epic apartment. I'll also link that video up here. There's a one room. It's what it is. It's a one room, and it's got like a little kitchen area, and then it's got a bathroom. There are either separated areas or they are not, but all in all it's one room. Then you get a two room. Two rooms are also kind of just like a very basic studio apartment, like a one room, but it's got two rooms, so you can have a living area and a sleeping area. How nice is that? That sounds so nice. That sounds lovely. The one and two rooms would usually be found in a villa. Okay, how do I describe a villa? A villa is, my one room was in a villa, and it's basically it's an apartment building, I guess, but it's only like a few stories high. Like it's only maybe 6 floors or like 5 floors. Like it's not, you know, like it's not a high rise or anything. It's just 5 or 6 floors, and it's I don't know why it's called a villa. Regardless, villas. And then you will get, after that, actually, before we get to apartments, is office towels. So I'm in an office towel now. Yeah, I know. Office towels are like, they can vary. They can be villa height buildings, or they can be taller, but basically the one that I'm in now is like quite tall. It looks, you know. Basically what an office towel is that a certain amount of floors of the office towel are actual offices where people have businesses, and then a certain amount of floors are residences. Because the thing about office towels is they tend to be a lot nicer than a lot of one rooms and two rooms. Most of them have very huge windows, lighting, which is what I wanted. So I was like, you know what, I know it's expensive, but give me the lot, give me all of the lots. Okay, so it's got huge windows, it's got nice facilities, you're in a building with an elevator, you know, you have lots of you have security all the time. There's a literal security guard desk thing, and then there's also other facilities and stuff. Like my apartment has like literally the bottom part is just restaurants where you can eat. There's a gym, there's everything in this building, bro. There's a laundromat. There used to be a sauna, but that got taken over by the gym. There's a golf academy. I think there's a PC bang. I'm not certain on that one, but there's this one place that kind of looks like a PC bang to me. Regardless, there's a lot of things in a building like an office style, because certain parts of it are businesses and then certain parts of it are residences. So usually these places are quite expensive because there's so many facilities and it has so many nice features. Then after office towels you get apartments. Apartments are, as apartments are, they can be however many rooms in huge buildings, old or new, whatever you want. Usually families live there, and usually you don't rent monthly, you would rent like chonse, but I'll get into that. After apartments there are houses, but a lot of Koreans don't live in houses. A lot of them live in apartments. I mean, there are houses. There are a lot of Koreans who live in houses, but like it's more common to live in apartments. Like if you look out, I'm literally looking out my window. if I had to count the apartment buildings I can see just from my window, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's some at the back there. I can't count. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Just from my window I can see 24 apartment buildings. I mean like the actual building, not the apartment complex. Like, you know how you have dongs? Because then in an apartment complex each building is like a dong. Like, you know, you'll have like a huge complex and then there'll be like building A, building B, like that. So just those buildings I can see 16 of them from my, did I say 16, 18, whatever I said right now. I didn't have that big a window. Okay, so just saying the Koreans tend to live in apartments more than they live in houses, but yeah, you get houses as well. Okay, so those are the building types. If I left one out, feel free to correct me in the comments nicely. And yeah, then the rental system. So buying a house in Korea is like a very big deal. A lot of people don't own their houses. Not actually, like the house isn't actually 1000% theirs. As in, like, if, you know, stuff hit the fan, the bank can't take it away from them because they own it, like that kind of thing. A lot of people don't own their houses. They have to rent their house or apartment or whatever. So you have two main rental systems that they use. There's a third one. I don't really understand how it works, so I'm not going to explain it. So the main one that most of us and most of you who are watching this video and maybe interested in moving to Korea will use is 월세. Wol means month. So 월세 is like how much you would pay in a month. I can't speak, guys. I've been recording videos this whole time, so my throat is like but yeah, you put down a deposit of X amount. If you're in Seoul, the minimum deposit will be like between 3 million and 5 million. That's the minimum. If you find one for 3 million, please tell me where you found it, because and even if you do, it's probably not going to be that great. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah, housing in Seoul is really expensive, really expensive. So the minimum you're going to find is probably 5 million deposit, 5 million won, that you have to give it all in one go. As it's a deposit, you have to give it all in one go. Yeah, so Seoul housing is expensive. It's not as expensive in the rest of Korea from my understanding. Seoul is just redonkulous. But yeah, the minimum you're gonna pay is like 5 million, and then the usual amount, actually 5 million is cheap, by the way. And if you're looking for how much 5 million is in about rands, it's about like 60,000 rands. So the last time I checked, it was like 60,000 rands. And then 10 million is the usual deposit that you would put down for 월세. Okay, it might be more, it might be less, but depending on, like, if you give more deposit, then your monthly rent will be cheaper. If you give less deposit, your monthly rent will be more expensive. But yeah, so you'll give a deposit and then you'll pay rent every month, and then you'll also pay like a maintenance fee. We'll get into the maintenance fee later. The second system is 전세. 전세 is like you put down a huge deposit that's basically almost the worth of the place, and then your rent is like small change every month, small change. So yeah, most people do that with apartments. I've heard of people who do it with office towels, mostly Koreans, because they can get loans for that kind of thing. But yeah, you can do that for an office towel. No one would really do it for a villa, I don't think, unless it's a really good villa. But yeah, you put down basically the worth of the place, and then you just pay like very small rent every month. Or some people don't even pay rent at all, depending on how much 전세 they put down. So yeah, that's, I guess that's the perk of it, but also like you need money for that. But yeah, those are the two rental systems. So your deposit, just some words you need to know. Deposit is called 보증금. So you're going to see on apps that it will say 보증금, and then you must set how much you're willing to spend on your 보증금. And then another word that you really need to know is 관리비. That is your maintenance fee. Your maintenance fee is what you're gonna pay on top of your rent. Okay, in my experience of house hunting in Seoul, Kwanlibi for 1 rooms and 2 rooms in a villa is usually either included, or if it's not included, it also includes utilities. Okay, so your kwanlibi would be like just for the maintenance fee for maintaining the building. So like if they need to remodel the parking lot or whatever, they use that money to remodel the park. Okay, that was an extreme example because that sounds expensive, but you know what I mean. But yeah, if you're gonna look for a villa, the odds are the kwanlibi will either be included in your rent. You can find a lot of places where it's included in your rent, or it's gonna be separate but it will include utilities, internet, nice things like that. Okay, so that's what I think my old apartment was, because I didn't pay for water or Wi-Fi. If you are going for an office tile, your kwanlibi is gonna be a more scary thing to deal with. Okay, so you're gonna pay your rent. On top of that, you're gonna have a kwanlibi. The kwanlibi is like a kibon kwanlibi. Kibon means basic. Okay, so in an office tile, like I said, they have a lot of nice facilities. That elevator, okay, to run that elevator, that's where that money is coming from. To pay the security guard, that's where that money is coming from. To run the air conditioner in the elevator because it's hot, that's where that money is coming from. That's the basic kwanlibi. And then depending on the office tile, some office tiles, I guess your utilities could be included, or 1 or 2 things in your utilities could be included. I didn't get lucky like that. My utilities are separate. Things like my electricity, my gas, all of that, separate. Okay, so I'm gonna pay that basic kwanlibi, and then I'm still gonna pay my utilities on top of that. That's why living in an office tile is expensive, but honestly, I really like my living space, so it's worth it. Okay, I feel happy in this living space. So yeah, just kwanlibi, just be careful about it and try to get it as cheap as possible. Also, just tips about looking for houses. I'm not going to get into how the money systems and all of that work. You can figure that out. I'll tell you apps to use to search for houses. You can use Jikbang, Tabang, you can use Peter Pan, and you can use Naver Budongsan. Okay, Naver Real Estate. What I would recommend, I would say look on Peter Pan and Naver Real Estate, because they tend to post cheaper postings there, but also they're not great. The postings that are on there. Jikbang and Tabang have the best postings. I can't say a lot about Tabang because I personally found it user unfriendly, but it does have a lot more options than Jikbang in terms of filters. Like you can even be like, I want a house that faces east and brings me waffles in the morning. Okay, I'm exaggerating, it doesn't do that, but like it does have more options in terms of filtering your search. Tabang, although I didn't like it personally, I used Jikbang. It doesn't have as many filter options, but it's super user friendly. It's like very simple to use. However, if you use Jikbang and Tabang, your odds of being scammed, guys, are very high. You are gonna see the most beautiful places in your budget. You're gonna set a budget, okay, and you're gonna put that budget there in the filters, and you're gonna see the most beautiful place, and you're gonna be like, oh, this place is only this much. It does not exist. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If you see a place where you're like, sure, this place is only this much, it does not exist. What? It doesn't exist. Okay. It could. Take your chances, but don't get your hopes up, because a lot of real estate people put up really nice listings for cheap prices. Then you want to go there, right? You go there, they're gonna be like, oh, what do we do? Oh, somebody just rented it yesterday. Oh no. Oh, but I can show you this place that's kind of similar, but it's a bit more expensive. And then they're gonna go show you places that are not as nice but more expensive, or maybe just the same price but just not as nice. Okay, sometimes these places just don't exist, and then they show you just crapshoot. Okay, sorry for my language, but just be careful. I watched a Korean YouTuber. Her tip was like, you should call them and ask them, hey, can I go see this place right now? Like, you should, because usually they're gonna tell you the same thing as if you would walk in, but you're gonna be able to know that, oh, okay, I'm being scammed. Because if then they say, oh no, listing was sold yesterday. They would have taken the listing off if it was sold yesterday. The listing never existed. Okay, maybe it does exist, but there's people who live in it. Yeah, if you call, then you're gonna save yourself the hassle of going to the actual property and then being disappointed. Be disappointed on the phone. So rather call them and be like, hey, I want to see this listing today. If they make all sorts of excuses and tell you to come another day, or tell you, oh no, you can see different apartments, that listing doesn't exist. Okay, I personally didn't do that. When I went to those respective budongsans that I saw on Jikbang, they were even closed. And then when I called the number on the door, the number was not the budongsan, so I think I was going to be scammed anyway. So yeah, I do recommend Jikbang just to get an idea of the place, but I wouldn't. If you see a place that looks too good to be true, the odds are it's too good to be true. What I would say is good with Jikbang, it can show you the areas where the housing is a bit cheaper, because the cheaper listings for the most part are real. So you'll be able to see it shows you by map, and you can kind of search by area. If you zoom out of the map, the places with the most lit buildings with numbers on them, that means those neighborhoods have the most available places, so they're good starting points. That's what I would use Jikbang for. Use those apps with caution. Other tips I would just give you from my experience, house hunting, I'll get into my experience just now, but like tips I would give you, go with Koreans who speak English, who will help you. Don't go by yourself. Go with a friend. Look, if you don't have a Korean friend, go with a foreigner friend. Just go with someone, okay? Because number one, you need a second set of eyes. Number two, you can't get scammed if another person can be like, okay, no, that's sus. Number three, you just, yeah, it's hard. And yeah, you need moral support, okay? Go with someone. Another thing, preferably go with a Korean, because then they can ask all the questions and they also know all of the things to ask. Like this is also another tip, I guess. When you walk in, check you have a compass on your phone, right? If they say this is a south facing apartment, stand with your compass and check, because they can scam you just thinking you don't know that it's actually south facing, because south facing apartments cost more. So just check that. It's just smart to do, so you don't get conned out of money for no reason. Check that the toilet flushes properly, check that the lights switch on properly, check that the stove works properly, check that the water has good pressure in the bathroom and in the kitchen. Check the cabinets to see if they're in good condition. Check the wallpaper, because damn, the wallpaper in my current place now was disgusting. They gave me new wallpaper because it was so gross. Check mold. Mold is important. So try to check if you can hear sounds from the neighboring rooms. This will obviously depend on what time of day you go, because people might just not be home, but yeah. Then also for the view, or like the light in the room, decide what time of day you want to go, and then also compare to like maybe where you're living now, or what you know light to be like at that time, just so that you know if the lighting in the room, like sometimes you might just be going at a good time of day and the lighting is fantabulous, you know what I mean? So be careful of that. Don't commit to anything. Take business cards and make a decision later. A lot of people say you must decide quickly because the housing, like the listing, can vanish. It can in the same day, within hours it can vanish, but honestly I went house hunting 2 weekends, and if the first weekend I had just gone with the best option of that weekend, I would really not like myself right now. I'd have more money, but I would not like myself right now. So yeah, just don't settle. Go with something that you want to be happy in the space you're living in, given your budget constraints, of course. Don't go over your budget just because, you know, whatever. Like, live within your means. And yeah, so I'll tell you guys about my house hunting experience, but I'm gonna switch to my phone camera because my camera is dying and I really just want to finish filming this video. Okay, see you just now. Wow, it's a very drastic lighting change. Anyway, but yeah, those are my tips for house hunting in Seoul. It's very hard. Research neighborhoods beforehand. that are cheaper. Okay, so neighborhoods that are going to be cheaper are neighborhoods where there are a lot of students, neighborhoods where they're a little bit out of the way or a little bit older, where like the average population is your grannies and grandpas. Those neighborhoods are going to be cheaper. Anything near a subway station will be expensive, so just tell yourself you're gonna take a good walk after. I know we're all tired after work, after school, whatever, but just take the walk, because places near subway stations are expensive, unless you can afford it, of course. But yeah, search kind of the neighborhoods that you want. Also, I would advise searching places on a subway line or a bus route that you use all the time, for the sake of your convenience. And then also just, yeah, I think those are all the tips I have for looking for houses. I'm not an expert because yeah, anyway, so let me get into my story.